I guess we're gonna go live. Not really set up great tonight. All right, guys, hang on. In case when you're wondering what the noise is upstairs, it's the kids. Yeah, we're on. Connect to the Wi-Fi. Connect to YouTube. Hopefully, we have a go here. Why can I not get this? Are we having YouTube trouble again? Hey, everybody. Can you guys see me? I'm just trying to look. There we go. Hey, Tim. Hey, Larry. Okay, so the audio is working. We're good. Fantastic. I thought I was gonna have nothing to do tonight, but I had my 385 stuff come in. Yes, I did check out Walt. That's what I was just doing. I was actually watching Walt. I was kind of hoping to get some inspiration for tonight. Thought what Walt had was interesting. He had that 372, and I guess I've also been following. There's a thread on OPE by Zed, and he's got a number of these, and Holtz Pharma, whatever it is, basically prefab 372s from China, and he's done some modification, but he apparently is getting quite a bit of use out of them. So, whatever. Anyway, I happen to have this stuff show up from SLE Equipment. So I was looking around for places to order OEM parts, and unfortunately HL Supply doesn't always have everything. And so I ordered a few things from SLE Equipment, and one thing is this rubber bumper for the 394. So we have to put that in. And the other thing was this stuff for a 385 that I've been waiting for. The thing with the 385, 390s is that they just don't have great aftermarket support, so you can't. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just not available, you know. I figured I'd finish putting together that 385 and maybe work on the 394 a little bit. Hey, Ken. Yeah. So I got a starter cover. This is just a blank cover. And if you don't need the whole assembly already done for you, sometimes you get the cover and it's cheaper, effectively. Save you a few bucks. But it does involve some work. So this was already buggered. So all I have to do is transfer over all this stuff, which is always easier said than done. So here's your Ken, Tim, Larry. Working too hard. Let's transfer over all this starter cover stuff. The dumb thing was that this starter cover was actually a replacement. I had done this, but of course when you run it over with a truck, yeah, Ken, I was just doing that just before I came on. Had Walt up on my 60-inch plasma. Yeah, Walt is just as much fun in person as you can imagine. And I've only met him twice. I've seen him in person twice. I wonder if I have a new one of these. Does it really matter? Probably not in this case. Okay. Well, the both times I met Walt was at the New York get-togethers. Oh, cool. The spring came with it. The whole thing didn't go kablooey on me. Let's see. Shoot, can I just... get that lucky. Apparently I did get that lucky. I don't like to put lots of tension on these things. Nice. Okay. You want some grease on the post, Tim? Okay. All right, fine. I know, you're right. I grease everything else, so why not? I already got super lucky with the whole thing anyway, so you might as well grease here. Grease on the post. And I'm going to grease on the spring here too. One thing I always have trouble with is this stupid washer always seems to get stuck because whoever it is ties the knot too big here. So we'll put it under first and then put this down. That's plenty of tension. Come on. Spring tightness is to turn it until it stops and then back it off one turn. I mean, turn it till it stops. I turned it essentially 2 turns. You want it tighter than that? Because I'm kind of inclined to leave it. If you want to get really picky, actually, you know what on here is useful? this little metal uh, keeper washer thing. You can buy it as a separate part number. You might as well pull it off of here and save it. Yeah, I've seen, that's kind of what I've noticed too. A lot of the OEM builds are around like 41 to 43 thousands. That's just, been my observation. Lose it. So usually you can just go gasketless and get a bit of a compression boost. It's really probably, it's definitely the cheapest upgrade out there. But that's been my observation as well. So I'm with Walt on that. Okay, so that's good there. Port bar was all chewed up. I think it'll be all right. Okay, so power, kill switch here. Do I need anything else here? Probably not. Been waiting quite a bit for these parts to come in. Okay. Don't tell me. The rough area in the top of the cylinder. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Tim? Not this saw, another saw? Well, see, I am usually of the opinion that pretty much all aftermarket top ends need port work. And that can certainly include what Walt's talking about, which is squish band work. You end up with squish bands that are just so rough and uneven or whatever, and it would be really nice to even them out, you know? There we go. That one's not fully tight. I'll get that there in a minute. So really, most aftermarket cylinders are kind of sketchy to run right out the box anyway. So that it needs a little something extra is not a surprise. And machining a squish band, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to do that if you have the equipment, you know. Good, that works. Yeah, you can do squish bands on a lathe or on a mandrel, effectively by hand. Tree Monkey has that set up. Um, if you're doing just a little bit, you can do it with sandpaper, like I do, which is kind of the really dirty way to do it, but it does work. It's really best to do it with a lathe and a boring bar. Do I want to put this on, or do I want to do? Let's do top cover. A brake dingle ball hone? I don't know. I have a brake hone in the toolbox there. I do use it on occasion. I try not to hone too many cylinders. So this is awful nice, huh? Brand new OEM top cover. Yeah, and if you don't get the corners clean, you can end up with a head slapper. So you do want to be careful about that. Looks pretty good to me. All the lines are in there. Throttle works. Filter. Yeah, you can, chamfer the whole thing. It's an idea. I think there's not too many places that'll actually do re-chroming now, right? I think US Chrome is one of them. Somehow I'm short a bolt. New clutch cover, new top cover, new starter cover. Refresh crankcases and bearings and all that stuff. I think the impulse line is new. Need that one more screw here. One more bolt, which I seem to be missing. All right. When in need of a bolt, go to the stash. Don't have a stash, gotta buy one. Right. A few years ago, somebody was selling bolt lots by the pound off of eBay. I love stuff like that. I know I have the screw that's here. That Might work. Hey, Mark. You like the 385, huh, Larry? That ain't gonna work. Too loosey-goosey. That'll work. Sticking up a bit, but it's not going to bump into the cylinder head. Okay, cylinder crankcase rather. Hey, Bob. I'm going to need to break this thing in a bit. How much gas? Larry, you would be surprised at how cheap this top cover was. I'm thinking somewhere in the $30 range. I got this stuff from SLE Equipment. You can look them up online. Just want to see if this thing pops, you know. Take the cover off here. Check that out. Okay. Seth, you're going to be happy with that. Of course, when I get it, you know, tuned. Anyway. Yeah, I figured these would be $70 because that's pretty typical. But the 385 whole covers, and it comes with the screws and everything, are pretty inexpensive. I think E-replacement parts had it at like $35. Yeah, it'll probably see wood tomorrow. Just a little bit of leftover oil here. I gotta get rid of the rest of this. So that starts and runs, which is really all I can expect for tonight. That's great, because that's one less thing in my basement. Right? Right. Yeah, so check out SLE equipment. As far I've ordered from a lot of places. So I order from HL Supply. If anybody wants to support my channel, please go buy something from them through one of my links. But there's HL Supply, and they're doing more and more with OEM stuff. So I think it's worth it to check them out. But I've also ordered through Jack Small Engines, which tends to have pretty good prices. They're a pretty good one-stop shop, but you never know if they've got stuff in stock or not. Kind of enough to drive you berserk sometimes. I've ordered from eReplacement Parts, and they're a little bit more expensive, but you can basically get stuff. You know what they have in stock. They'll say, "Oh, we have 24 of X in stock," so you have a better idea of what you're going to be getting. So if you need something quickly, eReplacement Parts might be the ticket. Here. Let's see where else. So yeah, this was I've ordered from Parts Tree. They're kind of somewhere in the middle. They don't show you inventory. They have pretty good parts diagrams, but you just never have an, unless you call them, you don't know what they have in stock or not. But this place, SLE Equipment, ordered, I mean, they, for OEM prices, assuming you don't have a dealer account, they were really darn good, at least on most stuff. It wasn't 100% that they were the best prices, but they were pretty darn good. Talking about like 394 coils there for under 60 bucks. So that's pretty good. Yeah, Jax does that, but Jax isn't the only place that does that. Parts Tree basically does, you know, that. This is the same thing too. So SLE Equipment, basically same thing, but the prices are probably even better than Jack Small Engines, at least on some stuff. Like this top cover, they definitely had the best price on that. The starter cover, it was a really good price. Other stuff like this rubber bumper for the 394, they were about the same. So the thing about shopping around, you can take some time doing it, and you have to decide what's more valuable, you know? Is it your time that's valuable, or what? Now I gotta get this silly bumper in here. I just put this whole thing together. Great. Yeah, eReplacement is usually pretty well stocked. Not 100%, but usually pretty good stock. And they show the stock, so What drives me really crazy is the eBay places that you order from, and they're just basically ordering it from Husky and then drop shipping it. That drives me nuts. And then saying, oh, it's just an extended handling time. Yeah, well, it's because you had to order it. Just take this whole thing off here. Yeah, ordering parts is indeed tricksy. It really is. It's like it's a guaranteed pain in the neck. Like no matter where you order stuff from. Well, Ken, that's certainly handy if you got somebody that'll help you out like that. I got dealers around here that are a pain. What they'll do is they'll be like, yeah, we don't have it in stock, but I can order it for you. Well, I can order it. If you don't keep good stock, what's the point? Around here, the Husky dealers don't keep good stock because Husky ships like out of New York or something like that. So it's only a day or two if they need to order something. And apparently, nobody needs anything immediately. I tell you guys about going to the there was a dealer not too far away from me. Guy has a lot of mowers and zero turns. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff in stock. Seems like kind of like a one-stop, one guy shop type of thing. So I went there and I was looking for I needed a chain for my 36-inch bar. And so I told him, I was like, hey, I just walked in, and one guy there, like, hey, I need a chain for a big saw. I got my 394, and I need the chain for it. And what saw? It's a Husky 394. Okay. He's like, well, I need 115 drive link, 063. Oh no, I don't carry anything that big. I'm like, what? Oh, biggest chain I carry is 25 inches. Biggest chain you carry is 25 inches. Wait a minute. There's big trees in Connecticut. Like really big trees in Connecticut. Like really big trees around here in Connecticut. I'm like, can't you just spin me up a loop of... No, the biggest I carry is 25 inches. I'm like, okay. So that was basically that. I'm just trying to do the string method here for pulling this rubber mount through. It's actually working. I don't know if you guys can see, but yeah. That's usually where I find I have it backwards. Right, good shops have, you need a few spools of a few things. And a spinner. I have a spinner, I just don't have the breaker. You'd think that shops, especially, I mean, here in Connecticut, of all places, we have big friggin' trees. We have really big trees. So how can you get away with being a shop in Connecticut and not carry big bars and big chains? Or, a spinner, whatever, I was like, okay, I walked out. So now that AV mount is on, I still don't have the coil for this thing, so I can't finish it. But what I can do, all kind of other stuff. Yeah, some dealers are good, and I have okay experiences at some dealers, but not often. It's when you walk into a Husky dealer and say, you know, hey, I need a an intake boot, the intake clamp, the metal intake clamp for a Husky 350, and oh, there's nothing wrong with 350s, that type of thing. Yeah, okay, never mind. And you're supposed to turn around and walk out because they don't know their own technical service bulletins. Yeah, if anybody's looking for bars, talk to Larry. Cookies at Christmas, yeah, that's nice. So I had like the not most super fun day. I ended up getting stranded at the dealer. Isn't that awesome? My silly Volvo is still having fuel issues. I'm pretty convinced that changing out the crank position sensor worked, but now it cranks but doesn't start. It sputters, but it's just not getting fuel. That's really the long and the short of it. Not getting fuel. So I walked out from the dealer and was like, oh, my car's not starting. I went back inside and I'm like, hey, can you guys tow me? Because I'm like 2 miles down the road. No, can't do that. Okay. So I called AAA. They tow like 3-ton tractors, no problem. Can't tow my car? Whatever. Yeah, but I don't have a good fuel pressure gauge. So I gotta either get one or whatever. Just gonna bend this a bit here. Let it breathe just a little bit more. Spark screen looks fine. Muffler. So I guess I'll get some new screws here. Yeah, that's the technique there, Tim. Get a long bar that's abnormally long, but don't have to lean down. Actually, my father-in-law has a 250. I was running that a bit last summer before, whatever. It didn't feel right to me. I ended up shipping 3 chainsaws down to my in-laws. A 372, a 350, and a 394. I think the coil died on the 394. So I'm going to have to do a little maintenance on that saw next time I run it. But that's in Oklahoma. I'm working behind a box here. Sorry, guys. I'm looking more at the comments than I'm looking at what I'm actually doing, you know. Hey, Joe. .32 is about right for not having to bend at all. I like the 32 bar on the 394, that's for sure. I think 28 is just about right for my 660, but a 32 Tsuji is very nice on my 394. What am I looking for? M6. Yes. Hey, John. Fuel pressure gauge. Stick your mini vac in the fuel line. Pressure is pressure. It won't measure you, but it'll show you pressure. How the heck do I do that? Because it's got a Schrader valve on the, well, right there at the rail. How do I do that? I guess I could just use a regular, like, hang on. If I could do like one of these and hook it up to my MIDI-vac somehow. I was just going to say that David's going to be upset if I put the whole 394 together without him. I want to tighten all the exhaust bolts here up nice and even, that's all. And you do have to look out if you're dropping the cylinder a lot. The adapters, the bracket here needs to get modified likely. And if the dog is on, you're not getting this on here. The hard bolt to get on the carb through the spot where the on-off switch goes. Yeah. Yeah, Larry, that basically this bolt right here, there's a hole in the carb base in order to get to it. I bought an entire thing of like M6 nuts. Darn handy. Like 50 of them. Jeep said from Harbor Freight, get the adapter for fuel injector cleaner. I guess I can look at that, Tim. Thanks. What parts do I have here? Get to that. Do I have a power cord or a kill cord, basically? Maybe. Let's fix the dog first. Oh, and we need a dog. Let's see here. What do I do? Is that in here? Let me get a chain catcher. I do like these Chinese ones. They are cheap and effective. You don't lose all the parts. Yeah, Harbor Freight, Advance Auto. I mean, they're all. I have most of that stuff pretty close. I live kind of in the suburbs almost. I literally have 3 Home Depots that are close to me. They are all equidistant, or actually, they're not necessarily distant. Just they're all equally 9 minutes away. enough. Hit the gas tank with a hammer to jar it loose, maybe. I'd certainly consider that at this point. I'm gonna just shoot myself with frustration. It's really been like intermittent issues, and I think it was a couple of things with the Volvo. I think one of the issues that I had was the crank position sensor. That stupid crank position sensor, I think, was no good. But I still had fuel issues. So there was effectively two problems. Red Loctite on the dog for sure. I don't want this thing coming off. Lovely. Too short. I may have to actually helicoil this. Yep, needs a helicoil. Awesome. Just for the record, Sean Carr did the welding on the cases. He did a really nice job. One thing that he was saying was with the lower limiter bolts, he says don't use the lower one, just use the upper one. And I don't know if this particular tank has a cutout for it. Ah, it does. Okay. So it's possible to use the upper limit instead of the lower and not have to helicoil the lower. Do I have a lab scope? No. A rollover switch? Unsolved and Volvo. I don't know what that is for fuel cutoff. I replaced the battery. I replaced the fuel pressure sensor, which is on the rail. That might be faulty again too. Who knows? The fuel filter is brand new, and the one that I took out was not bad. Yeah, the fuel cutoff switch. I don't know where that might be in the Volvo. I know the crank position sensor can shut down the motor, but I keep posting on the forum and nobody's giving me any answers. So kick panel. It could be the vehicle immobilizer system too. That's mentioned something today. That came on as an error, but sometimes it shows up in other ways. I don't know. This is my Volvo S60R. And by the way, in case anybody's wondering, the fuel sending in is $500 on that thing. Check engine light shows two codes. One code is P0090, which is low. There's P0090 and P0087. Both are low fuel pressure codes, essentially. Relays in line to the fuel pump. Well, that's the thing also is the car actually does start, sputter, and die. Start, sputter, and die. So there's some fuel that it's getting. Fuel filter is probably in the... no, the fuel filter I've changed. Not in the tank.